Bhakti Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's revise a few points from yesterday's discussions. Radha Padma.
So, Praju, there was a discussion regarding how there has to be systematic training as well as rigid practice for a brahmachari, and there has to be expert spiritual master as well as the disciple also has to be obedient, so that he can keep himself away from getting attack of any fall down or something like that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Something more? Bolo.
Rajib, you were reading from one letter, Srila Prabhupada, that how the entire movement will get spiritual strength. So that letter was addressed to Sudama.
So how one will get spiritual strength?
So Prabhupada was telling that as GBCs, when you travel to temple, you should be very strict to see that all the leaders, especially, they are chanting 16 rounds, attending the morning program, following the regulative principles. And in these essential principles lie the strength of our spiritual.
Within these Vaishnav standards which I have given lies the spiritual strength of the entire movement. Good, thank you.
You said, Prajit, that there was this purport where it was spoken about woman and wealth. So there is no astonishment that if somebody falls prey to it, this is being remote and
so
only by the mercy of the Krishna and the Lord it can happen. So for that, what we are supposed to do is, you said, we have to be obedient and nicely behave in front of the Vaishnavas and spiritual master. And you spoke that example of Dhananjay Prabhu there.
So that we attract grace. Okay, thank you. 2-3 more points.
We can be satisfied. We can be satisfied only when we serve the Supreme Lord. So by satisfying the Supreme Lord, we can be satisfied.
Yes, so satisfaction can only be had on the spiritual platform. So it's not possible on the material platform. Okay, thank you.
We also discussed about how we cannot be materially happy. Elaborately.
Okay.
How one cannot be happy.
There is no material happiness in this material world. Yes.
Only on spiritual platform one can be happy.
Right.
So that we discussed.
Okay, good. Okay, fine. So what was the basic question of Parikshit Maharaj?
Why Priyavrat entered into Grahasthashram, although he is a pure devotee?
Yes, so even though he is pure devotee, is Atmaram, he has been trained by Narad Muni, still why he entered into household life? And there's one more question. What? After entering into household life, no, he achieved perfection. That is the fourth verse, right? Fourth verse is saying, how was it possible for a person like King Priyavrat, who was so attached to wife, children, home, to achieve topmost infallible perfection in Krishna consciousness? So that's also the question. Because previously he said the household life is cause of bondage. So, but Priyavrat Maharaj got perfection. How was it possible? Okay, fine. So let's go ahead. Text 5. Okay, so now these verses are in prose form. So we will directly read translation. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, what you have said is correct. So Shukdev Goswami is agreeing. What you have said is correct. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised in eloquent transcendental verses by such exalted personalities as Brahma, are very pleasing to great devotees and liberated persons. One who is attached to the nectarian honey of the Lord's lotus feet and whose mind is always absorbed in his glories may sometimes be checked by some impediment, but he still never gives up the exalted position he has acquired. Okay? So, Bhagavata Uttama Shlokasya Srimad Charanaravinda Makaranda Rasai Aveshita Chetasa Bhagavata Paramhamsa. So Bhagavatas, Paramhamsas, they are Aveshita, means what? Absorbed. They are Chitta, Chetasaha. Their consciousness is absorbed in what? Makaranda. Honey. That is honey at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Anyone has tasted? We'll discuss about the Channamrit very soon. Just hold on. So, they are absorbed in this honey, which is Daita Katham, the Katha of the Lord, that is the honey. So, but still, Kinchit, sometimes, there is Antaraya Vihatam. So, they are checked by some Antaraya, some impediments. But even though they are checked, they remain Shivatamam. Tamam. It is a superlative degree. Shivatamam. They never give up that Shivatva, that auspicious position, exalted position. They never give up, even though there are impediments. Shivatamam Padavim. Na prayena hinvanti. Prayena. I mean, mostly. Sometimes it may happen, but mostly they don't give up. Even though there are impediments, mostly they don't give up their exalted positions as Bhagavatas, Paramahamsas. They don't give up, even though there could be impediments. Please do the purport.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami accepted both of the king's propositions, that a person who is advanced in Krishna consciousness cannot embrace materialistic life again, and that one who has embraced materialistic life cannot take up Krishna consciousness at any stage of his existence. Although accepting both these statements, Sukadeva Goswami qualified them by saying that the person who has once absorbed his mind in the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead may sometimes be influenced by impediments, but he still does not give up his exalted devotional position. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there are two kinds of impediments to devotional service. The first is an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. This is called a Vaishnava Aparat. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warned his devotees not to commit Vaishnava Aparat, which he described as the mad elephant offense. When a mad elephant enters a beautiful garden, it destroys everything, leaving a barren field. Similarly, the power of Vaishnava Aparat is so great that even an advanced devotee becomes almost devoid of his spiritual assets if he commits it. Since Krishna consciousness is eternal, it cannot be destroyed altogether, but advancement may be checked for the time being. Thus, Vaishnava Aparat is one kind of impediment to devotional service. Sometimes, however, the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee decide to impede one's devotional service. For example, Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha were formerly Jay and Vijay, the gatekeepers in Vaikunta, but by the desire of the Lord, they became his enemies for 3 lives. Thus, the desire of the Lord is another kind of impediment. But in both cases, the pure devotee, once advanced in Krishna consciousness, cannot be lost. Following the orders of his superior, Swayambhu and Lord Brahma, Priyavrat accepted family life, but this did not mean he lost his position in devotional service. Krishna consciousness is perfect and eternal, and therefore it cannot be lost under any circumstances. Because the material world is full of obstructions to advancement in Krishna consciousness. There may appear to be many impediments, yet Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, declares in Bhagavad Gita 9.21 Kaunteya Pratijanadi Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. Once he has taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, he cannot be lost. In this word, the word Sivatamam is very significant. Sivatama means the most auspicious. The devotional path is so auspicious that a devotee cannot be lost under any circumstances. This is described in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita by Lord himself. Partha Naiveha Namutra Vinasas Tasya Vidyate. My dear Arjuna, for a devotee there is no question of being lost, either in this life or in the next. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord clearly explains how this is so. Tatram tam buddhim samyogam labate paura dehikam yatate cha tato bhuyaha samsiddhau kurunandana. By the order of the Lord, a perfect devotee sometimes comes to this material world like an ordinary human being. Because of his previous practice, such a perfect devotee naturally becomes attached to devotional service, apparently without cause. Despite all kinds of impediments due to surrounding circumstances, he automatically preserves in devotional service and
Perseveres.
perseveres in devotional service and gradually advances until he once again becomes perfect. Billamangal Thakur had been an advanced devotee in his previous life, but in his next life he became greatly fallen and was attached to a prostitute. Suddenly, however, his entire behavior was changed by the word of the very prostitute who had so much attracted him, and he became a great devotee. In the lives of exalted devotees, there are many such instances, proving that once has taken to the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, he cannot be lost. Kaunte Prajidanati, Name Bhakti Pranasati. The fact is, however, that one becomes a devotee when he is completely freed from all reactions to sinful life. As Krishna stated in Bhagavad Gita, Esam tva antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam tedvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dritavritah. Persons who have acted piously in previous life and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, and who are freed from the duality of illusions, engage themselves in my service with determination. On the other hand, as Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirna Krishne Paratas Svatva Mito Bipadyate Griham Vratanam. As a person who is too attached to materialistic family life, home, family, wife, children, and so on, cannot develop Krishna consciousness. These apparent contradictions are resolved in the life of a devotee by the grace of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, a devotee is never bereft of his position on the path of liberation, which is described in this verse as Sivatamam Padavim.
Yes. So this is a very important verse. So before we get into some discussion, we will also read the commentary of Vishnu Thakur on the verse, which of course Srila Prabhupada has taken most of the points from this commentary, but still we will read. Somebody else?
Those whose minds are absorbed in the Lord do not reject the topics of the Lord which are most dear to the Paramahamsas, persons related to the Lord Bhagavata, though the topics are somewhat interrupted. Those topics are the path giving happiness to the devotees, since by that path the devotee attains the Lord. But does the following verse not show there is an obstacle?
But
Translation.
No, you can read the verse.
Tatha nate madhavatavakah kvachit drashyanti margat tvayi baddha sauhrada vaya bhigupta vicharanti nirbhaya vinayakani kapa murdhasu prabho. O Madhava, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord of the Goddess of Fortune, if devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path of devotion, they do not fall like non-devotees, but you still protect them. Thus, they fearlessly traverse the heads of their opponents and continue to progress in devotional service. Srimad Bhagavatam
So later we will read the commentary to that verse.
10 to 33.
Prabhu, these two things are not coordinating. There's conflict between them. So this impediment is due to what? Yeah. That's cool. Too late. Gone, huh? Went to sleep. Okay, fine. So let it take its time. Okay, we'll deal with. So here, as Srila Prabhupada is explaining, quoting Vishwanath Thakur, that a devotee who is attached to the honey, makaranda, he is totally absorbed in that honey, in tasting the honey and the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. But still, there could be impediments. Anyone has so far faced any impediments in devotional service? Oh, only health issues, huh? Very fortunate. Great. You have to give blessings now. So here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, two types of impediments. What are they? First is Vaishnava Prad and second is desire of the Lord. So we'll elaborately discuss on these two. Okay? So let's see how much time it takes. But this is our main topic for discussion, these 2 points. Okay. So we'll begin with the first one, Vaishnava Prad. So I'm sure all of you have given many lectures on Vaishnava Prad, right? Well, everyone is humble, nobody wants to accept. But I'm sure everyone has given many lectures on Vaishnava Prad. Okay. So just for the sake of revision, I know you know everything, but just for the sake of revision, we'll do a quick group activity. Okay? 3, 3, 4. Or you decide. Okay, here, okay, I forgot. Okay, you decide, make 3 or 4 groups. Make. Janardhan Prabhu, please join the association. Online devotees, they can be in their individual bhajan kutis and answer the same questions. But I'm sure they're hearing or they're not hearing? They're hearing, no? Okay. So, 3 questions. Note down 3 questions. Vaishnava Prad. Topic is Vaishnava Prad. 4 questions. Types, causes, consequences, solutions. All right? Types, causes, consequences, solutions. No referring to Veda base. You have to churn your memory. Okay? Whenever you gave the last lecture on Vaishnava Prad, you try to remember that. All right? So, So four memories put together, there will be sufficient substance. Okay, we're giving you only 5 minutes. Patapat. So Janat Prabhu, once again you have to share, huh? Why? No, that one. It is full screen. See. हो गया? You require more time? Over, no? Super fast, huh? Over? No, I'm asking whether you have finished.
We wrote this physical offense. Oh, judging based on body.
We have joking about a Vaishnava, not feeling jolly upon seeing a Vaishnava. That fine, sir. Manasik Vachik.
A bodily deformation.
By speech and by words, by actions.
We thought we have to write it in.
Hare Krishna. Huh? Okay, so we will focus more on Vaishnava Aparadh and Seva Aparadh. Okay, we'll focus more on these two, Vaishnava Aparadh and Seva Aparadh. So for these two, you can tell causes, consequences, prevention, solutions. Okay? Okay, fine. Begin. Suval Prabhu.
By seeing a person on his bodily level.
Okay, so one of them is bodily consciousness.
Which will include his caste.
Okay,
and
all that
these things,
included.
yeah.
Okay, fine.
Then somebody.
Okay, tell one more. Then others will get chance.
By looking, I think this will also come similar. I don't know whether material outlook.
Same thing. Bodily consciousness. You can like material outlook. Material outlook towards the Vaishnava. Okay, fine. Here another point.
Same, bro. It's like Ramchandra Khan was envious of Haridas Thakur because of his glory. Envy.
Pradeep, material association. Asatsang. Asatsang.
Any other causes you have?
Pradeep, pride.
Pride. Pride leads to what?
Pride leads to Pradeep. It will like one looks down upon a Vaishnava.
Okay, okay. So there's a condescending attitude. Okay. Pride. Yes, pride. Okay, good. Okay, familiarity. Yes. Familiarity breeds contempt.
Miscommunication.
Okay. Okay. Miscommunications, misunderstandings. You have something? Fault finding. Okay. Fault finding. You can say unnecessary fault finding. Fault finding. Any other causes? Huh.
Weak sadhana. Means inattentive sadhana.
Okay. Inattentive sadhana. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, good. Let's go to consequences. Okay, consequences. Consequence of Vaishnava Prad.
One loses taste in spiritual life.
Okay, loses taste.
One develops material
So,
desire.
lose always has one O less. Lose has one O less.
one, one develops material desires.
Okay, material desires. Anything else?
Tendency to commit Vaishnava aparadha increases.
Okay, okay, fine. Increased tendency to commit offense. Okay, okay. Anarthas increase. What's that? Okay, okay. Can't appreciate glories of the Vaishnava. Appreciate glories of the Vaishnava. Share something? Okay, fine. Krishna becomes angry? Okay. Because Krishna can't feel offended. He's not bothered about it. Okay, Krishna becomes angry. Okay. Okay, all that will check advancement. Okay, fine. Okay, reduced spiritual advancement. Arrow. Spiritual advancement. Can leave Krishna consciousness. Okay, that's ultimate. Leave Krishna consciousness. Done? Okay. Prevention solutions.
One should have respectful dealings while.
Okay, okay, that's fundamental.
Right.
Respectful dealings with
proper Vaishnava etiquettes.
Okay, okay. Respectful dealings, fine, with all Vaishnavas. Okay. Yeah, bolo. Okay, glorifying. Oh, sorry, we forgot the online ones. I hope they don't feel offended. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, that verse is there, na? That goes in consequences. Consequences, tell. Lifespan, here, consequence. Lifespan, opulence, reputation, good fortune. Lifespan, reputation, good fortune, and what? Opulence. Last. Prayers. Okay, sincere prayers, repentance. That is a solution, Okay, humility. That is in prevention. Okay, fine. So we are combining prevention, solution. Okay. Okay, begging forgiveness, that goes into solution.
Serving the Vaishnava whom we have offended and trying to
Okay.
get a favor of him by serving.
Okay, serving to attract mercy. And then, yes, very important. Avoid asatsang.
Taking guidance from senior.
Yes, very important. Guidance from seniors. That's for prevention. Okay, fine. Krishna Katha together. Anything more? Okay, fine. Okay, let's go to Seva Aparad. We can put a line here. Okay, Seva Aparad causes. What's that? Put it in little more practical terms. नहीं तो हमारा विभ्रम हो जाएगा. हाँ? Okay. First of all, what is meant by Seva Aparad? What is meant by Seva Aparad?
Not pleasing the person whom we are serving.
Not pleasing the person whom we are serving. Okay. But what is a general understanding of Seva Aparad?
While doing service, we do some mistakes.
Mistakes while doing services. So basically it is inattentive service, correct? Basically Seva Aparad is due to being inattentive while rendering various services. So basically in the Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami speaks about Seva Aparads. Where? In the 8th chapter of the Nectar of Devotion is a whole list of Seva Aparads that are essentially done while serving deities. Correct? How many offenses he has given? 32. There are 32 offenses he has given. All those are Seva Aparads. Basically, they are offenses while performing some service to the deities, or it could be serving Vaishnavas, but they're, of course, essentially serving the deities. But essentially, it is while committing, while doing services. Okay. So, what could be some causes?
Ignorance, Prajiva. When one is ignorant of the rules or the way
Right.
the
Yes, that's a good point. Yes, ignorance. Ignorance. But ignorance of law is no excuse. Okay, fine. Any other causes of Seva Prads? Possible. Unplanned activities. Yes, possible. Unplanned, then last minute something is done. That's true. Okay, negligence. There any online? No taste for? Okay, no taste. Okay, no taste. That will lead to mechanically serving. Yes. No taste, mechanically serving. Okay. Specific to deity worship. Uncleanliness. Okay, इनका point है. Niyam agraha. Okay, we can take niyam agraha. Okay, whether you take it agra, both are applicable. Over enthusiastic, उसे क्या होता है? क्यों गड़बड़ हो जाता है? अगर बहुत उत्साह है तो क्या गड़बड़ है? अच्छा, okay, so enthusiasm without using intelligence. Okay.
Identification. Therefore, when we go for deity of ourselves, when we go for deity worship, we does Bhut Suddhi prayers that we identify ourselves as a servant.
Okay, fine. Okay, ignorance basically. Okay, fine. Okay, lack of goodness. Yes, lack of goodness. Too much passion and ignorance. Okay. Some other points?
Too much sadhana oriented.
Huh?
means sadhana conscious.
ये तो अच्छा है ना, इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या है?
But Prabhupada says that if you do sadhana, then one also develops attitude for service.
Okay, that is fine. So what is the cause? You can't say cause of aparadhi sadhana. ये तो
Hey, I'm not saying sadhana is a cause. Too much understanding only about importance of sadhana, not understanding about seva. It's only understanding that sadhana is important. I mean, inclined more towards.
so that means basically there's a lack of service attitude, right?
Yeah, service.
Actually, if somebody has good sadhana, the service attitude should increase. So therefore, so both the points have to be there. Okay, lack of service attitude, and plus improper sadhana will lead to lack of service attitude. That's correct or wrong? What? Casual behavior. With whom? Okay, so basically, casual behavior means not being attentive, right? So, okay, those points are covered. Mechanical, inattentive. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead. Consequences. Somebody said a good point. Laziness. Put there. Laziness. Consequences. Consequence of seva prad. Okay, fine. Yes, that's the first thing. Displeasure. Displeasure to Lord and the devotees. What else? What's that? Huh? Oh, okay. Loses the seva. Yes. Loses the seva. Okay, you're right. What else? Okay. So what happens if the service is incomplete?
Burden, it increases burden on the other devotees.
Okay, possible. So incomplete service. Okay, burden of other devotees increases. Okay, fine. No, that's not
No realization.
a realization of what?
Means of the knowledge of the
No
scriptures,
spiritual realization. Okay, because of losing mercy, no spiritual realization. Okay, that could be common for all types of offenses. No mercy, no spiritual realizations.
Actually, it will come in relation only. There is no satisfaction because service.
Okay, fine. No realization, no satisfaction. Any other consequences of the seva prad? Okay, yes, that will affect the chanting. Affects chanting. Yes, affects chanting. That will affect the consciousness also. Chanting consciousness. Okay, fine. Prevention solutions. Prevention solutions. Online? Anything online? Yes. Training and education. Very important. Okay, guidance. Okay. Guidance. ठीक है बस. Attentive in services. Okay, that's all included. Okay, mode of goodness. That's what. Mode of goodness.
good sadhana.
Okay, good sadhana. अरे क्या चेंज हो गया अभी आपका? Okay, so that's solution. Solution, yes. Forgiveness, prayers. Yes, good point. Taking responsibility for the service. taking responsibility. Okay, good point. For whom? Service for whom? For whose pleasure? ठीक है, वो आ गया, attentive, enthusiastic. ठीक है, fine. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Okay. So most of the points have been covered. We'll just highlight on a few points. So as far as the Vaishnava aparadha is concerned, as already the points have been mentioned, but one of the important causes for the Vaishnava aparadha is perception. As already has been said, the material outlook, the perceptions, that is one of the important causes. As Rupa Goswami says in the 6th verse of the Nectar of Instruction, what he says? Drishte svabhava janiter vapushasya doshe na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashet gangam basam na khalu buddhudafena pankir brahma dravatvam apagacchati nira dharmai. So, drishti, everything depends on drishti. What is the drishti? The perception. So, vapushasya doshe. So, if one sees the dosha of the vapu, that is the faults on the bodily platform, then one could develop that offensive mentality. So, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes, when we speak about the qualities of Vaishnava, there are two types. What are they? The qualities of Vaishnava can be categorized into two. What are they? Swarup Lakshan and Tatastha Lakshan. What is the Swarup Lakshan? Yes, Krishna Eka Sharanam. This is the Swarup Lakshan. Amongst the 26 qualities of the Vaishnava, this is the Swarup Lakshan. And all the remaining 25 are Tatastha Lakshan. So therefore, if a devotee has the Swarup Lakshan, that is, he has taken shelter of Krishna, is sincerely trying to practice devotional service, then the Tatastha Lakshan should not be taken very seriously, because they will gradually and eventually develop. But the problem is, we tend to give a lot of emphasis on the Tatastha Lakshan, sometimes even over the Swarup Lakshan. But the emphasis has to be on the Swarup Lakshan. So if there is a devotee who is sincerely trying to chant the holy names, follow the rules and regulations, follow the instructions of the spiritual master, then the Tatastha Lakshan The other 25 qualities may be there, may not be there, may be developing gradually, but they should not be given too much of prominence. So that's why Rupa Goswami is giving the analogy of what? In that same verse we just cited. Yes, the Ganga water. So even though during the rainy season, it may be filled with bubbles and foam and so many dirty things, but still the intelligent person who has knowledge, he understands the purifying potency of the Ganga and takes bath anyways. So similarly, when one sees a Vaishnav, the first thing to see is he's Vaishnav. He has taken shelter of the Lord. How rare that is. Is it rare or no? So just like today also, Maharaj was saying in the class, so whole Pune should have been here. Senior devotee sannyasi has come, but only so few are sitting. And here how few are sitting. So just think about it. Amongst lakhs and lakhs of people, only 10 people are sitting here. So every Vaishnav is so rare. That perception, as soon as we see a Vaishnav, that should be the perception. Of course, I'm speaking all these things for myself only. I'm not trying to instruct anyone here. But this is what Shastra is saying. So when we have that correct perception of the Vaishnav, then okay, some little bit faults here, there can be neglected. And therefore, in the purport to Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter 30th verse, Srila Prabhupada is quoting from the Narsim Puran, and he gives an analogy. What is the analogy? In Bhakti Vaibhava, don't keep Bhagavad Gita as it is. Well-known analogy. So the full moon, the bright full moon, very beautiful. So one can put the focus light on the bright moon, or one can put the focus light on spots. Depends on us. Choice is ours, where we want to put the focus light. But then that's how some apparent faults in the Vaishnava one should consider like the spots on the moon. They can be neglected. Of course, those who are managers and leaders may have to distinguish, may have to discriminate. This is appropriate use of discrimination for the matter of allotting services. Some discrimination may have to be there, but not with the fault-finding attitude. It's with the service attitude, not with the fault-finding attitude. So, if one is finding faults with the Vaishnav with a fault-finding attitude and justifying it in the name of service, saying that this type of fault-finding is very important for my service. So if he's justifying it in the name of service, but actually has a fault-finding mentality, so this is compared to, Raghunath Das Goswami says, bathing in ass's urine. Not a very pleasant analogy, but that's the analogy he's giving. Bathing in ass's urine, thinking that is purifying. But it will not be purifying. It will only be putrefying. So the fact is that we may discriminate and see some discrepancies in a Vaishnava for the matter of service, but not with an envious mentality or a fault-finding attitude. So in general, if we don't have that service, of helping others improve, or we don't have that responsibility, then the best thing is what? See the beautiful full moon. See every Vaishnava as the beautiful full moon spreading the light of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And overlook the faults. Overlook the faults. That is best. Then we can respect all Vaishnavas and we can be safe. As one devotee said, the vaccination to prevent Vaishnava aparadh is that first one. Respectful dealings. Respect. Respect means what? Yes, see again with a different lens. What is the different lens? What is the different lens? You change this lens? Yes, exactly. The spiritual lens, spiritual outlook. Very important. Unfortunately, in the material condition state, the tendency is to immediately jump to faults. That is a sort of default setting of the material world. But one has to definitely learn to change that. That is what will help us to prevent this Vaishnava aparadh. And also, we have to understand the disastrous consequences of Vaishnava aparadh. And as we know, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his teachings to Rupa Goswami has described that this Vaishnava aparadh is like mad elephant offense. So, there Rupa Goswami is saying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that the Bhakti Lata is totally uprooted and broken to pieces. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. So then, somebody may ask a question, but Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 40th verse, what he says? Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 40th verse. Neha Vikramanashasti Prativayano Deswalpam Pasadharma Satrayatiman. So, devotional service is never lost. But here it is said that the Bhakti Lata is totally uprooted, crushed, broken into pieces. How do you reconcile both? Yes, sir. Give the mic.
For that, as in Purport, it was said that advancement will be checked at that time. It will be, for time being, at least it will be stopped. Kind of.
No, but there Mahaprabhu is saying it's totally broken pieces. Nothing is remaining, no? Uprooted, broken. Then what remains?
Practice again. Opportunity to practice again is there.
Opportunity to practice again is there. Okay, then what happens? Okay, what happens? We are focusing on the consequences. Anybody? Time is? Baju mein.
It will take more time to again come back in the
Okay.
the
So then in the meantime, what happens? Okay.
One, one is taken away from the association of devotees.
Why?
Actually, I had heard this that Krishna purposefully does it so that the devotee doesn't commit further offense.
That's correct. So what happens?
So his spiritual practice is stopped
Why?
because material desires come.
Okay, good, good. Why material desires come? Krishna plants material desires. Krishna is not so cruel to plant material desire. Why will he plant?
By Guru and Krishna's mercy, one gets that Bhakti Lata. So mercy is lost because he has lost the mercy.
Good,
then
good. So what happens when the mercy is lost?
mercy is lost, then he cannot practice, but he cannot stay with devotees.
Good, good. A little more elaboration. Hey, he cannot appreciate the association. Very good. Little more. What's that? Okay, the Upashaka's weeds keep on growing. Okay, fine. What happens as a result of that? So basically, as rightly said, Madhukar improved, because as we said, Krishna becomes angry. My devotee has been offended, my dear devotee. Krishna becomes angry. So when Krishna becomes angry, Bhakti Devi becomes angry. When Bhakti Devi becomes angry, she stops the flow of mercy. No flow of mercy, then everything that is spiritual appears to be material. This is what happens. Everything that is spiritual appears to be material. That means the holy name, Krishna Katha, the Vaishnavas, the Dham, everything appears to be material. So when everything appears to be material, we are chanting Hare Krishna. So now also we have some material outlook. So as a result, we know what happens. Correct? But if one only has a material outlook towards the holy names, what will happen? It is just like chanting Mr. John, Mr. John. How long one will chant? No taste. Because see, that's why Prabhupada gives that example. If the holy name appears to be material, then it's so boring, isn't it? To call out the same three words again and again, it appears to be crazy. 3 names, 3 words, keep repeating. So, if one doesn't have that spiritual taste which comes from mercy, the whole spiritual practices, all the spiritual practices will become dead boring. How long one will continue? Very difficult. So eventually, such a person will give up. He will give up the spiritual practices. And then, when he gives up those spiritual practices, that means from whatever level of bhakti, it is coming to what? 0. 0. That is why it is as good as Bhakti Lata being uprooted. Because spiritual practices come down to 0. That is why Mahaprabhu is giving that analogy of the mad elephant. Uprooting, totally uprooting. It is as good as 0. But then still we have to reconcile both the points. You can't say what Krishna has spoken in 2.40 is wrong. Correct? So, therefore, Vishwanath Thakur in the Madhuri Kadamini gives the analogy of a patient who has fever. So when he has fever, we all have experienced, right? Sometime in life. Material fever. So what happens when there's fever? What happens to the appetite? No taste, no appetites. Your favorite item could be there in front of you. No appetites. You have experience? So that is what happens. No appetite, no taste, zero. Okay. What the patient has to do? Take the medicine. And as he continues to take the medicine and he becomes cured, then the appetite gradually, does it increase all of a sudden? No, gradually the appetite increases. So that means it comes to zero, and then because of the previous practices, because of those previous practices, then gradually he is able to revive. If those previous practices were not there, then even reviving would be very difficult. But because those previous practices are there, then gradually, again, he will come to association, then again slowly, slowly as the sadhu sang increases, then the bhajan kriya will increase, then practice. That is what happens. And so therefore, so this is Sisimadhya 19:157, where yes, so this is the section where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about this Vaishnava Prad. Okay, fine, read this. This is Srila Prabhupada's purport to the verse.
Growing, the devotee must protect it by fencing it all around. The neophyte devotee must be protected by being surrounded by pure devotees.
So, one of the important causes of Vaishnava Prad is not being in the proper association. One of the causes we saw, right? One of the causes of Vaishnava Prad is asatsang. This is a very important point again. Asatsang. As we know, Mahaprabhu has said here also, Srila Prabhupada quotes, Asatsang tyag e Vaishnavachar. Okay. So, and then Mahaprabhu says, two types of asatsang. What are they? Stri Sangi, Krishna Bhakta. One is Stri Sangi, sense gratifiers. And second is Krishna Bhakta. Who falls under the category of Krishna Bhakta? Materialists and Karmis, Jnanis, Mayavadis. So all these come under abhaktas. So one has to be extremely careful about this asatsang. This is one of the major causes, as you will see in Srila Prabhupada's purport here. One of the major causes of the Vaishnava Prad is asatsang. And these days it is very easy to be influenced by asatsang. Thanks to the smartphone. Very easy. One can very easily get association of both Stri Sangis also and the Abhaktas also. Both association is very easily available if one is not careful. And especially for preachers, so sometimes preachers in the name of preaching tend to justify reading too many things just for the sake of getting some information. Reading too many materialistic books or other books. Then the result of that is These things have all happened in ISKCON. We are not simply concocting something. So, when one reads materialistic literature, one tends to think, what is wrong in reading? I'm just reading the book. What is the problem? I'm just reading a book, or I'm hearing a lecture. What is the problem? What is the problem? I'm reading a book written by a materialistic person. What is the problem? What happens to the consciousness? Why? Because I am associating with the writer. Even though it may be a book, or nowadays no books, everything soft copy. But whatever it is. But by reading or hearing from that person, I am associating with that person. One has to keep this in mind. I am associating with that person. Either one is reading or hearing, one is associating with that consciousness of that person. And therefore, Mahaprabhu has given such strong warnings. Maivad bhashya shunle, oi sarvanash. Therefore, such strong warnings have been given. So therefore, one has to be very careful what one is reading. Sometimes this, we have seen some devotees, they read too many of these outside books, and then they come to the conclusion, Srila Prabhupada's writings are too simple. These materialistic people write very nicely. And one gets addicted to reading those things. And the tendency of the mind is, no problem, little, just little you read, little. Then after reading little today, tomorrow what the mind will say? Little more. Similarly, hearing. Within our movement, we have seen. Senior devotees spent many years in the movement, had many followers, admirers, left the movement because of asatsang. It all begins with hearing, reading. We have examples right here in Pune. So therefore, one has to be extremely careful with this asatsang. One loses respect for devotees because of the asatsang. And when one loses respect, then the next thing is what? Yes. Then one becomes an easy prey to offenses. Okay, please continue reading. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is saying, the neophyte devotee must be protected by being surrounded by pure devotees. So if one is always surrounded by pure devotees, like here, all pure devotees, then we are safe. You go outside, then there's problem. Please read.
In this way, he will not give the maddened elephant a chance to uproot his bhakti creeper. When one associates with non-devotees, the maddened elephant is set loose.
You see that? When one associates with non-devotees, including a non-devotee mind, the maddened elephant is set loose.
Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Asat Sanga Tyag Ei Vaishnavachar. The first business of a Vaishnav is to give up the company of non-devotees. A so-called mature devotee, however, commits a great offense by giving up the company of pure devotees.
In these purports, Srila Prabhupada has used this phrase quite a few times. A so-called mature devotee. So-called mature devotee. See, those who are new devotees, usually they are always careful. They think, oh, we are new devotees, so better be careful. And those who are actually mature, senior and advanced, they always are humble. And so therefore they also keep themselves safe. Who lands in problem? The so-called mature devotee, who's not actually mature, but imagines himself to be mature. So because he imagines himself to be mature, he thinks, सब कुछ चलता है. Now Maya cannot touch me. So he gives up that fencing. He crosses the boundary of the fence because he thinks now nobody can do anything. And then when a devotee develops that type of pride, then Krishna will do the needful. So therefore, so-called mature devotee. Okay, please continue.
A human being is a social animal, and if one gives up the society of pure devotees, he must associate with non-devotees.
Yes. So if he gives up association of pure devotees, he must associate with non-devotees. There's no second option there.
By contacting non-devotees and engaging in non-devotional activities, a so-called mature devotee will fall victim to the mad elephant offense. Whatever growth has taken place is quickly uprooted by such an offense. One should therefore be very careful to defend the creeper by fencing it in. That is, by following the regulative principles and associating with pure devotees.
So that is, those two things constitute the fence. Following the regulative principles. Which are the regulative principles? No. Yes, 64 angas of bhakti. 4 regulative principles are not angas of bhakti. So whenever the word regulative principles comes, it always refers to the 64 angas of bhakti. Unless it is specified 4 regulative principles. Otherwise, when the word regulative principles comes, it always refers to the 64 angas of bhakti. So when one is properly following those angas of bhakti in the association of devotees, then that is the fence. Then one will be protected. And therefore, okay, go ahead.
Even if one thinks that there are many pseudo devotees or non-devotees in the Krishna conscious society, still one should stick to the society. If one thinks the society members are not pure devotees, one can keep direct company with the spiritual master. And if there is any doubt, one should consult the spiritual master. However, unless one follows the spiritual master's instructions concerning the regulative principles and chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, one cannot become a pure devotee. By one's mental concoctions, one falls down. By associating with non-devotees, one breaks the regulative principles and is thereby lost.
So here, Srila Prabhupada's very strong emphasis on remaining within ISKCON. Therefore, he's saying, even if one thinks, that means it's not the case, but even if one thinks, as sometimes we do hear devotees speaking these things, oh, where is the pure devotee in ISKCON? Prabhupada keeps saying, one must associate with pure devotees, but where is the pure devotee within ISKCON? Are there any pure devotees in ISKCON? What do you think? Many pure devotees, right? So what's your definition of a pure devotee?
One is endeavoring to practice pure devotion.
Right. Sincerely endeavoring.
Sincerely.
One is sincerely endeavoring to practice pure devotional service is also to be considered a pure devotee. So therefore, we have so many sincere devotees who are trying to practice pure devotional service. They have to be considered as pure devotees. But even if one thinks there are many pseudo devotees or non-devotees within the society, what Prabhupada is saying? Still one must stick to the society. As His Holiness Bhakti Charaswami Maharaj often would talk about one of the instructions he received, never leave ISKCON. Because ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada's body. Srila Prabhupada has struggled so much to start the society, to grow the society. He didn't do it for nothing. So, as Maharaj also was explaining this morning, that Srila Prabhupada, as an empowered representative of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has access to Mahaprabhu's mercy, and one who is following him will also get access to that mercy. Therefore, one must know the glory of remaining within the ISKCON society. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada here, so clear, still one must stick to the society. And of course, if one thinks no one is worth associating, if one thinks like that in a state of illusion, then at least one person one should think worthy of association, one's own spiritual master. So, Prabhupada is saying, okay, at least associate with your spiritual master and follow his instructions. And of course, the spiritual master will tell him to remain within ISKCON and serve the devotees. So, that is how one will be protected. So, therefore, all these are very important points, how one can prevent the Vaishnava Aparadha. And talking about the consequences of the Vaishnava Aparadha, so this is the next verse, 160. And here he talks about, yes, the creepers. Okay, please read.
If one does not distinguish between the Bhakti creeper and the other creepers, the sprinkling of water is misused, because the other creepers are nourished while the Bhakti creeper is curtailed. Purport. If one chants the Hare Krishna mantra while committing offenses, these unwanted creepers will grow.
See, so one of the important causes of these unwanted creepers, upashakas growing, is what? Offensive chanting. If one chants the Hare Krishna mantra while committing offenses, then these unwanted creepers will grow. So because one is committing offenses, so one is not focused on receiving the mercy of the Lord. So therefore, all the other material desires also simultaneously grow. But the problem is when one is unable to distinguish between them. Okay, continue.
One should not take advantage of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra for some material profit. As mentioned in verse 159, Nishiddhachar Kutinati Jiva Himsana Labha Puja Pratishtadi Yata Upashakha Gana. The unwanted creepers have been described by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He states that if one hears and chants without trying to give up offenses, one becomes materially attached to sense gratification.
See the precise statement. He states that if one hears and chants without trying to give up offenses, so at least the sincere effort to give up the offenses has to be there. It is not that overnight one will be able to give up all the offenses, but at least the sincere effort to try to give up the offenses has to be there. Otherwise, what will happen? One becomes materially attached to sense gratification. Go ahead.
One may also desire freedom from material bondage like the Mayavadis, or one may become attached to the Yoga Siddhis and desire wonderful yogic powers. If one is attached to wonderful material activities, one is called Siddhi Lobi, greedy for material perfection. One may also be victimized by diplomatic or crooked behavior, or one may associate with women for illicit sex.
Okay, so all these are the creepers. So many different varieties. So big list is there. Okay, quickly go through it. At least we should know what are the possible consequences of offensive chanting.
One may show off devotional service like the Prakrit Sahajayas, or one may try to support his philosophy by joining some caste or identifying himself with a certain dynasty claiming a monopoly on spiritual advancement. Thus, with the support of family tradition, one may become a pseudo-guru or so-called spiritual master. One may become attached to the four sinful activities, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. Or one may consider a Vaishnava to belong to a mundane caste or creed. One may think This is Hindu Vaishnava, and this is European Vaishnava. European Vaishnavas are not allowed to enter the temples. In other words, one may consider Vaishnavas in terms of birth, thinking one a Brahmana Vaishnava, another a Shudra Vaishnava, another a Mlecha Vaishnava, and so on. One may also try to carry out a professional business by means of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra or reading Srimad Bhagavatam, or one may try to increase his monetary strength by illegal means. Also, one may become a chief Vaishnava by trying to chant in a secluded place for material adoration, or one may desire mundane reputation by making compromises with non-devotees concerning one's philosophy or spiritual life. One may become a supporter of a hereditary caste system. All these are pitfalls of personal sense gratification. Just to cheat some innocent people, one makes a show of advanced spiritual life and becomes known as a sadhu, mahatma, or religious person. All this means that the so-called the devotee has become victimized by all these unwanted creepers, and that the real creeper the real creeper, the Bhakti Lata, has been
Stunted.
stunted.
So you see the big list. And unfortunately, we can see many examples of this actually happening. We can see it. It's not something which is very unusual. So therefore, one has to be extremely careful to try to avoid the offenses. So, as we have seen here, so material outlook, material attachments lead to offense, and the offense leads to further material attachments. That is how it works. Just like in one place, there was one senior devotee who, okay, two examples we can give. So in one place, there was one senior devotee, he had begun preaching in that place, and preaching was going nicely. But there were some problems when the community of devotees expanded, more devotees started coming. And so this devotee was a little too fanatic about his way of functioning, all that. And so senior devotees had to come into the picture, and they told this devotee they told him to focus more on preaching without getting into management. But this devotee, he could not tolerate it. He was so attached to the power and position, he just could not tolerate this. Such was a strong attachment. And as a result of that, he offended the devotees, started blaspheming devotees, including his own spiritual master, and finally totally gave up Krishna consciousness. That was the result. In another place, there was one preacher who went to that place, who was sent to that place, very nicely preaching, some 300, 400 congregation devotees. Very nicely the whole preaching was going on. And so, as in any place, when preaching expands, there's a need for bigger facilities. And so this devotee, he wanted to construct a new temple. So legitimate desire. So he consulted his GBC spiritual master, and he told him, see, there's some other projects coming up in this area. Please wait. Please wait. After some time you can do it. So in any case, this devotee was a little impatient. And so he made some 3 or 4 requests, and every time he got the same answer. So when he got the same answer, his mind started concocting many things. And then he was feeling, oh, I'm being stunted. I'm not being recognized. These ISKCON authorities, they don't appreciate my services. You know, the mind tends to expand things. So that's how he started imagining so many things. This is injustice. And so, again, that he lost his faith in his GBC and spiritual master. When he lost his faith, there are many other people who are looking for such victims to come to their camp. And so he caught hold of some Radhakund Baba. He invited the other devotees also to whom he had preached. Fortunately, many of them did not go, few went. But then it created a whole commotion and chaos in that community. So, therefore, one has to be very, very careful about all these things. If one is not careful about the weeds, one's progress in devotional service will be checked. So all these are the various effects of Vaishnava Prad, and so therefore one has to be extremely careful, as we see in the pastime between Maharaj Raghun and Jad Bharat. When Maharaj Raghuna understands the exalted position of Jad Bharat, Maharaj Raghuna says, you know the verse? He says, I'm not afraid of the Trishul of Lord Shiva or the thunderbolt of Indra. But what I'm afraid of is, yes, the offense to a Brahmana or a Vaishnava. So therefore, one has to be extremely careful, taking into consideration the disastrous consequences. So it's better to tolerate some inconvenience in the long-term interests. And if one always has that respectful attitude, the right outlook towards the Vaishnava, then it may be possible. It will be possible. All right? Okay, we'll take a break now and then continue. Hare Krishna. If you have some questions also, we'll take after the break. Hare Krishna.